Hello and welcome to the Baker Senior Show. Hello. How's everybody today?
Terrific.
Hi,
Wonderful.
Carolyn.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone?
You know, we are doing very well today. I am very, very proud of the way that everyone is handling. Yeah. I'm really grateful for all the things that are happening in our world because we are learning to cope with what's going on, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, Steve, I have a guest for you today, Carolyn Gray. And don't you know that she is fantastic at what she does? You are fantastic at what you do. I put the two of you together and voila, we have this wonderful show today. So Steve Baker is a Medicare person. He is the person that you go to when you have a question on senior health. And I have put him to the test quite a few times, haven't I, Steve?
You have.
Yes. I brought him different questions about how he can handle people with very specific needs when it comes to Medicare. And I'm really glad to bring Carolyn Gray on today because, you know, she is also a superstar where she is. And, you know, she used to work in the HR departments. Was it the government that you worked for?
I work for the federal government. I actually work for the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Oh, that is wonderful. Veterans. I love that. I don't love that people are veterans. I'm very, very grateful for what they do for us as a country. And for those people who serve them once they come back from whatever they're doing to protect us, the HR department is really the people that take care of all the employees, aren't you?
Yes, and we took care of them with pride. One of the things that I used to tell my staff was, this is not free care. They paid the price by serving, and that was the way we served our veterans. Some people say, it's free. The Department of Veterans Affairs services are not free.
Right.
The veterans paid. They served. Some of them had the ultimate sacrifice. So that department, there's a separate department. I work for the medical side, the hospitals, but there's one for veterans benefits, and veterans deserve the best. And I truly believe that, and that's what we do. We don't get a lot of credit for that. They think that we just treat veterans any kind of way, but we don't. Sometimes there's some not so good situations, but that's true in anything. But we never had to wonder what our mission was. We knew why we were there.
Thank you for that. And both of you service another group, the over 50 group, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's another group that really needs extra special care and help. And so Steve, his focus is on seniors and helping them with their health care. And Carolyn, I know that you are coaching. You're a personal development and accountability coach. And no matter what our age, we need that.
Yes. And it works. And actually, Marian, it's funny you say that. I've worked with teenagers, and I've also worked with elders. I've worked with some, and I'm saying elders or seniors who needed some help kind of working through some of the things that they were dealing with. Mm-hmm. But that's not the my target audience, but that is a group that I have worked with before.
It feels good to work with the type of people that need your service and you feel like you're doing something for them. Yeah. So I can tell you, because I've known Steve Baker for a long time, that he's very comfortable with the people that he works with. He knows their struggles because he's been there, and he feels very comfortable helping them with whatever question or problem they come up with. And let's face it, he's an answer man. He has his phone number out there. He just publishes his phone number and says, call me with your questions. How many people do you know that just actually give a phone number that someone can talk to somebody?
It's not many people.
Right, exactly. So thank you for that, Steve. And thank you both for going into a profession that makes you not only fulfilled, but also helps us, helps the seniors, helps the veterans, helps people that need to get on Medicare. I have a couple of questions for both of you, and so I was wondering, if you don't mind, if we could just start talking about the things that we do to help people, because I think that's when people are watching this show, they want to know what's in this for me, right?
Right.
Okay. So Carolyn, let's start with you. Who is the type of person that you really like to work with, and how do they contact you?
So primarily I work with women, and I work with women and men who may be lacking self-confidence and they're feeling powerless. Then those are the folks that I work with to help them over that little hump that they go through. Like the program that I have, Turn the Page, where I help them to understand well, they know they want to do, they just don't know how to get there. And that's what I help them with. And I hold them accountable. And I tell folks, if you're really not willing to be held accountable, then I'm probably not the person you want to work with, because I will hold you accountable, hold your feet to the fire, and get you done. If you tell me this is what you want to do, then that's what I do. So I work with women, age the 30 to even as old as, I say as old, listen to that, as 60, as young as 60, 65. So those are the women. And I do work with men, and I also work with teenagers. Some parents have had me work with their kids who were having some issues getting things done, staying even in high school. So, but primarily I work with women.
Okay, let's talk about being accountable, okay? Because you're right. If I come to you and I ask you to be my coach, and you start holding me accountable, and then I start holding you responsible for making me mad or angry or feeling guilty, how do you straighten someone out?
Well, I have let me just say this. My temperament is, I'm of course, you know this, I'm an extrovert. So I have that ability to get people to kind of come along with me. But the other side of that is I'm also a driver, and I'm able to get them to do what they say they want to do. I don't make them do anything. I'm not telling them what to do. When you come to me and you say, this is what I want to accomplish, I want to write a book, but I'm just, I don't know where to start. I've tried it. Well, here are the steps that we're going to take, and the timeline. But the important thing with holding people accountable is that I have to have a timeline. They have to have a timeline. You don't just say, I want to write a book. Well, when do you want to start? What do you want to, by what date do you want to have these things accomplished? So if they tell me that's what they want to do, or whatever it is, I've worked with students who, I don't know what I want to do, if I want to go to college, if I want to go to trade school, whatever, then I work with them along those lines. But holding them accountable is me saying, here's what you said you were going to do. It's not what I said. Here's what you said you were going to do. And that's how I hold them accountable and say, this is really what you're saying you're going to do. And if you're not to do it, and I'm very firm with this, if you're not going to do it and you don't want to do it, then maybe we shouldn't be working together. And I know people say, well, you fire someone. And yeah, I will tactfully tell them that I'm probably not the person that they need to work with. Because guess what they're doing? They're wasting their time and mine if they're not going to do what they say they're going to do. So the timeline is what I hold them to, and we make sure that the progress is being made that they say they want to make. And although I'm firm, I'm very fair, and I work with the clients that I work with, and they have access to me. So if they run into a problem between meetings, they know how to get a hold of me. My number's out there, my email's out there. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, so they can get me. So no excuses. That's what I tell, no excuses.
I love that. And Steve, I have the same question for you. Let's dig into what Steve really, really likes to do. Who's your favorite type of client, and how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I think one of the things that Carolyn and I have in common is that people are confused about their situation. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to be talking with us. They know there's something out there that they don't know, and in my case, it's their health care for the rest of their lives. In Carolyn's case, is how do you get back on the road if you feel like you're off the road or straightened out or whatever. So it's, both of us do pretty much the same thing. In my case, I have a specific way that people could accomplish what they need to accomplish, and I've always said that I'm financial. My group is financial peace of mind, and that's what it is. As long as someone has and they feel like they're comfortable in the situation, then fine. That's they're relieved of that. But if they're, particularly when they're getting ready to turn 65, there's so much out there about Medicare, and you see so much disinformation on TV, particularly during the annual enrollment period, that it's just amazing, right? Totally amazing. So I'm able to help guide people. And Carolyn, from what I understand and what I've just heard you say, you're the same way. You help guide people.
I do. I have a program, Steve. I call it Turn the Page. And what that is, the acronym is you help them to plan, and they have to be authentic. That's one of the requirements. If you're not authentic and believe in yourself and you're going to be true to yourself, we have a problem. And the G for it's PAGE, authentic, and G. And I'm really big on gratitude. There is nothing that I think is more important. I think that's the key to everything, is be grateful for what we have. And then the E, of course, is to execute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
No
you
action,
have to execute.
Nothing happens if nothing changes. If nothing changes, you got to execute.
Right. So both of you have integrity and honesty, and you're easy to get a hold of, which I really love. I think that's very important. I used to build websites for a living, lots and lots and lots of websites. And the first thing people would tell me is, "Oh, don't put my phone number out there. Oh, no, I don't want them to actually call me." And I used to think, okay, you're in business, but you don't want anybody to get a hold of you? I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I totally get it. Nobody wants your personal phone number out there for you to call, because that's your personal number that you give to your family. But there's lots of ways to get around that nowadays, isn't there? There's chats that you can do right on your website. There's Google phone numbers that you can use that have a certain kind of ring that can ring into your phone, so you don't have to carry two phones around. My sister just opened up a brand new business in Dallas. She helps people sell their home, like an as-is type of thing. And I asked her about that. I said, "Are you going to give your phone number out?" "Oh, no, they've come a long way since, you had to give your phone number out." So that solves that problem. When people do get a hold of you, I'd really like to know how you move forward. So Carolyn, let's start with you again. When someone calls you and says, I heard you on the show, I'd really think I'd like to work with you, what's the next step?
I do an assessment. I send them, I have about 10 questions that I have them complete. And it's complimentary. That part of it is complimentary. So they complete it and send it back. And then I set up the meeting and we go through and talk about what it is that they want to do. But I have the advantage because they have done the questionnaire for me. So that's how I do the assessment. And people do like that. And I've actually had people go through the assessment and decide that they did not want to work with me. It's too much work. And I say, okay, and I appreciate their honesty, because it is a lot of work. If you want to change something, it's a lot. They think you're going to wave a magic wand, and there is a magic wand, but it's that you have to execute. You have to do the work. So when they call, I send the assessment. They complete it, and I tell them to take their time. Don't just kind of run through it. Take your time and give it some thought, and then they send it back to me, and then we schedule a meeting. And the meeting is, like I said, it's complimentary.
Now, let me ask you, what's the typical thing that people come to you? What kind of problem are they going through? You're a personal development and accountability coach, but what are you holding them accountable for?
For basically whatever it is that they want to do. But most of the folks that I work with is lack of confidence. They just don't have the self-confidence. They don't believe in themselves. They don't understand that they're enough. They feel like the person next to them is better, or they're trying to be like the other person, and that's what I get them through. So you are who you are, and let's work with that. You have to build. I build up the self-confidence. And Marion, going through some of these, oh my gosh, that the assessment that I do, one of the things I ask is, tell me about your relationship with your mother. And that one I've worked with, well, I work with women, not so much men who've done this, and it's a tearjerker for them. Some of the folks just have, and you understand why they have the lack of self-confidence, because they've just been beat down. Some of them just have been beat down. I know. And I've got this heart for, like, let me tell you this, let me build you up. And it's about helping people to understand that what they really want is within them. They just have to, I help them to bring it out.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Steve and I are really into personal development. We probably have every book between us that helps us with self-development and spirituality, don't we, Steve?
Yes, absolutely.
So this is ringing true for both of us. We really love talking with you this morning. Okay, so Ms. Steve, I have the same question for you, because when people are watching the show, when they find out about you, what do you think is it that they're looking for when they reach out and call you? Who's needing help from you?
Well, I think more than anything, they need assurance that that the proper program is out there. And I'm kind of like Carolyn. I start with a series of questions, and I want to know what kind of health care they had in the past. And another thing that, if they're working with a corporation, can they possibly continue that coverage? And if so, then perhaps we could compare that with the Medicare program. So it's a whole kind of a flow kind of thing. And they could go. Somebody can take pathways off of that, so I can direct them and tell them that here are their options, and explain each option and the pluses and minuses of it all, and basically it's clarity. We have a whole book. One of my carriers that I work with they call it the Clarity Workbook. So when we sit down, I just go, I could go through it. And nowadays, of course, you don't meet face to face so much, but you can actually do that online. And clarity. This is what this is. This is how Medicare is. This is the program. Some of the history of Medicare, and then just move forward from there. But mostly, it's just attempting to ask questions, answer questions rather.
One of the things I love about working with Steve is he will send you a free book called Medicare and You. If you just call his phone number, which is 832-754-3292, you can work with him on your Medicare issues. So let's say Steve tells you that you need this type of Medicare, whether it's Advantage or a traditional Medicare with a supplement, and you're just wondering what does that mean? You can look it up in the book. I wouldn't start with the book and then ask. I would get the information and then maybe get some more clarity in the book. But I think this is wonderful. I have actually seen this book. It's comprehensive, and Steve will send it to you. All you have to do is call him. Now, I know, Carolyn, you have something also that you like to give to your clients or to your prospective clients. Can you tell us about that?
Well, of course, I do the complimentary session, and they can use my email to send me a message, and I don't mind them calling me. I'll put my number in the chat. So I do that. I also have 21 rules to success according to Carolyn Gray, and these are things that I have learned and gleaned over the years that have worked for me. So if they send me an email, I will gladly send that to them electronically, so they don't have to look for anything in the mail. I also I've written my book 365 Days of Gratitude, and when people work with me, that is something that I do give them a copy of my book, as well as uh, the book that I wrote on business ethics called Dazzle Don't Frazzle. And I do give so if my clients, when they work with me, I give them those books so that they'll have those available.
Well, Carolyn, that brings up a good point.
Are you laughing at my title, Steve?
No, he's not. No. I want to know some business etiquette tips. Do you
Okay.
have a couple?
I do.
I knew you
One
would.
of the things that I do, and I have to work. This one I drill myself with this because I do talk a lot. But one of the things that you really want to do is when you meet someone is to, you want to, of course, now we don't shake hands, but you want to make good eye contact. One of the things is that if you are not someone who can look someone in the eye, that doesn't help you build trust with them. So one of the things you want to do is to really make sure you're making good eye contact, and ask a question, let them talk, but try to find out more about them. And Steve did a good job with this, but did you know how I said to him, well, tell me about you. But that's a great thing to do, is to find out about the person you're talking to, because you already know about yourself. You know about yourself. So that's one tip. The other tip is if you have a business card, and some people don't use business cards. This is a big one. Make sure your name, a phone number, and some type of address and your web address is on the card so that people can get in touch with you. You want folks to get in touch with you, even if they just want to invite you for a cup of coffee to get to know you better. So definitely want to do that.
Excellent. Well, Steve and Carolyn, I really appreciate all the information that you give to your clients. So I want you to be thinking about this question as I'm talking, okay? I want you to tell me the best case scenario for someone that was just the worst case as they came to you, okay? They came to you with so many problems that you thought, oh my goodness, but you were able to help them. I really want to know how you overcame that problem for that person. All right, I'm gonna tell you this question is coming, so you be thinking. And we'll start with you, Carolyn. Yoo-hoo!
Yeah, go first. I have had some tough cases, but the beauty of it is to work with the person to get them through it. And the one that I was mentioning earlier about the question that I asked on the assessment, what was your relationship with your mother? That was that person. And I've worked with several people, and mothers, for some reason, they have problems with mothers. Dads don't get such a bad rap, but for moms, like my mother did this, my mother did that. Working with, and I have a particular person in mind, and it took us several sessions to get her through kind of the beat down, if you will, from her mom. She had a couple of sisters, and they were beautiful, and she actually was very beautiful. Had so much going for her that, and I think what she was doing is trying to make everybody see the good in her, and she just kept working. But I told her, you're who you are. You're enough. You're very knowledgeable. You are beautiful, and you're an expert at what you do. So I had to get her from work with her, not me saying this, but just get her from where she was, of thinking that she just wasn't enough. She wasn't smart. She wasn't, and she was all of that. And it took us about 9 weeks to get her to where she was, and I call it solo flying. She was able to fly alone, and her getting back with me saying that it helped her for me to tell her those things. It helped, and then she said it helped that I was patient too. That I'm not mom, so I wasn't beating her down. I was bringing out the good in her, and that she was probably the toughest one that I worked with to get her, because she really did have a lack of self-confidence. She really did. She had just been told, and she had been divorced, so that added to her feeling she wasn't enough. But she really was. I mean, this is a young lady who bought a house when she was 19. Wow. I mean, who does that?
Not me.
So I'm bringing all Yeah, I mean, she saved her couple of 3 jobs, made a down payment, and she bought a house when she was 19. I'm thinking, well, what don't you think that's really something? How many 19-year-olds that even want to buy a house? They're still staying at home with mom and dad.
I was still at
So
home at
working,
26. No.
but you
They
have
had
to
to
get,
kick me
you have to
out.
get people to see the good in them. You once you bring some things up, people can see that they go, oh yeah, yeah, that's yeah, I did do that, or yeah, I have done that. I've gone to school, I've learned this, and she owned her own business. She was awesome,
It
but she
reminds
just
me
let
there's
the
a book out there called What Others Think of You is None of My Business.
business exactly.
But our parents and our spouse, I mean, if they tell us we're nobody and we're bad and all that stuff, it has to play a part. So thank you for helping. Steve, same question. Who or what was the worst case and how did you overcome it? And give them what they needed.
Well, one of the things that I always run across, not always, but a lot of times I run across it. And I've been doing this for many years. And when I initially contact person, or if they contact me, they always want me to have this brand across my forehead called salesman. And so I try to just get inside of them and tell them that I'm really my mission is to help them. And I know one guy, I remember him, you know, it's been a good number of years ago, but we sat down at the kitchen table and he said, "Okay, give me your pitch." And I go, "Okay." So I'm thinking, well, my pitch is to help you understand this problem that's before you. And so I just moved on from there. But that was quite a shock.
Give me your pitch. That's good. That's good. Well,
So
I have another couple questions that I think is important to both of you. Now, Steve really would like to give presentations to employees at corporations. And Carolyn, you used to work in HR. Can you give him any tips on how he gets in and how he can present this offering? Because he can help so many people as they're retiring, as they're turning 65 and they want to keep working. I mean, there's so many different aspects. And I know HR is very busy. Wouldn't they just love to have someone like Steve come in and lay the program out for them?
They would. Some of that, of course, is company regulations or guidelines. Some companies have their own insurance specialist, if you will. But a couple of things you can do, Steve, is you can definitely contact the HR person and ask for the benefits rep, because most companies have a person who handles just benefits. So you can do that. The other thing is they have a health fair day a couple of times a year, but for sure once during open season. And they allow vendors to come in, set up your booth, and you get to talk to employees. There's an employee association, or some of them like a employee store where you can go through. I know I worked for the FAA for a little while, and they have not a big presence here in Houston, but the FAA has employee, I can't remember what it's called. It's the employee store where you can be a vendor on their list and you can go in and do presentations. With private companies, it probably is best if you do work with the health benefits specialist, health benefits department. But here again, they have their own people. But if you're coming in and buying donuts and coffee and you want to set something up, a lot of companies will let you do that. You got to feed them. You have to have donuts or something. Another, I don't know if you do any work with like realtors. Do you work with realtors in helping with benefits? Because realtors will let you come in and talk to them about benefits.
realtors is good. That's really an excellent point, because realtors are all self-employed pretty much.
Right.
You know, and they have no benefits really. They're self-employed people.
If you want to come in and do a presentation, you buy lunch, they'll come in and let you give their spiel. And if you talk to 25 people and a couple of them say, can you give me more information, or can you talk to me? Then you can kind of move from there. But I would definitely realtors.
Thank you.
That's actually an excellent idea.
Well, I have really loved getting you two together. I just knew it was going to be a wonderful show, and sure enough, it was. You guys are best of friends already. I just see it.
My new best friend, Steve.
Yay! I knew it. I love getting my friends together.
Yeah.
All right, so this particular show, which is Baker Seniors, is here every single Tuesday at 8 o'clock Central Time. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, and we also have a podcast. So you could listen to us while you're driving or mowing the lawn or walking the dog. And we would love to answer any questions that you might have. Please let us know what it is that you're looking for. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Carolyn, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to meet you, Steve.
Good to meet you.
Bye, everybody.